Your Excellency. Thank you. A very good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. A very good afternoon to you all, ladies and gentlemen. This is the time we have all been waiting for. There is no need for us to be shy, all right? Now, please, Mnangagwa, our guest of honor this afternoon, the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Matabeleland North, Honorable Richard Moyo, the Minister of Industry and Commerce, Honorable Dr. Mangaliso Ndlovu, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Services, Honorable Dr. Tatenda Mavetera, the Permanent Secretary for Industry and Commerce, Dr. T. Wushe, represented by the Chief Director, Dr. D. Runyoa, the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Economic Management and Finance from the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Africa Roundtable board members led by the Chair, CEO Africa Roundtable, captains of industry and commerce here present, presenters and panelists, members of the media, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, please allow me from this point on to have observed protocol on behalf of everyone. And thank you so much for your time. I will take this time to hand over to our board member, Mr. Kenyas Mafu.
I'll try again. Not His Excellency, President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Dr. E.D. Mnangagwa, thank you once again, sir, for being with us. A big round of applause. Allow me just to honor and ride on the protocol already given, but to acknowledge that it's amazing that in the room we have more than Honorable Professor Mumhari. Your talk yesterday was life-changing, at least for one person, that's me. I don't know about everyone else. But I think it's a message that needs to go across about Africa, about us identifying who we are and being proud of it. Because it's the same thing that has driven the roundtable.
Are sitting on zip coins and zip notes that we have issued to them that have talk about now where people obviously see that but you know, as you said, we are in a multi-country. That means we're using a lot of accounting for it.
If anyone would want to access US dollars for a legitimate import, or maybe for payment of vehicles, we have said that as long as the person has received the account, able to give them the currency.
Just to be clear on that, someone who wants to purchase a $5,000 vehicle and they could equivalently get intervened. Are you saying they go to the bank, we have the USD deposit in the mutual fund for them before they get the bank? Is that what you're saying?
If they go to the bank with Zig and they want to get a car, they've got a genuine reference for that car, they will move the money to the supplier of the vehicle.
To the supplier.
Yes, yes.
Interesting. Are we going maybe to see any other local mobile platforms where maybe someone can look into a gazebo that they get safe and to check where they can access USD what's cheaply being given by the banks for those outside of the country?
The changes are also authorized here. They can do transactions just like this one.
Brilliant. We have seen Zig in money change that we used to see around the streets of Mumhari and anywhere else in the country. They have disappeared. Now, are we going to see this forever? It's a good feeling. We don't see these money changes. This can be sustained. Some people are doubting and saying, to give us 2 months, 3 months, and we'll be better again. Is this a permanent situation?
Well, I would like to believe that that is the permanent situation. Because money changers thrive on a situation where people go to them and they give you a rate which is not the rate that is running in the bank. The public out there is now knowledgeable. They know that if they need Zig for any genuine forex transaction, they can get it from their bankers. So there's no reason why anyone would want to do something. That's why they are not sure. And I believe that there is no in the future.
So you seem very confident about your currency. You speak with some pride in terms of what it has done. What possible challenges do you see in terms of how it's been selling?
Well, I don't see any challenges at all. I see positives. If you look at the standard to Zig when it's in this economy, and what it means is that Zig is remained stable. You will be aware that when we launched Zig, it was at an exchange rate of 13.5. Now Zig is stronger than that. So with the currency like that, I don't see anything that can change. Absolutely.
Just talk about those.
I would like to
Yes,
say special welcome to
in the form of sector, we can actually afford to do it. How we can bring a break the banking culture. There is two ways. There is now is taking the money. How now is taking the system will not allow them to
This is a problem one can manage everyone in the bank. This is why you see that the manual bank statement not mandatory. The banks pay interest on deposits. We actually set a minimum interest that banks must pay for savings and time deposits. That was the effort to encourage people to bank. As the stable currency, banks are paying interest. We also order banks to reduce penalties. Why would you keep your money under the bench?
Black market again, where to be looking for something.
That one is going to be a game changer. And the only people that come here to Cuba, they will be expected to pay 50% of their capital operations. Some of the said they've been selling some have not listened, and they've been selling their produce exclusively in
honest,
We are currently
what
at
are
40%
what
US dollars.
away the potential
60-40.
amongst us
2030, we could
to
actually
come
be at 50-50.
invest in
And at that
infrastructure
time,
and
people will be indifferent as to which currency they are using. And this is what we want to do.
Don't buy anything. There's a junction. Like I said, focusing on all things and our guest is none other than the Arabic Governor, Dr. John Michel, explaining what exactly is happening. Dr. Before we went to the explain
Are being performed in US dollars. And only 20% of the transactions are being performed in Zim dollars, in ZIG. What that means is that on average, and that is the equation that we need to change, such that as we go towards 2030, we want to see the amount of ZIG in circulation in relation to US dollars increasing.
what's going to get us to the point that measures are going to introduce to get us to a level where there is more circulation than US dollars.
What's going to get us to that point is us creating increased demand for zinc. And the first thing we are doing is the 50-50 payment of QPD taxes in June. And who knows, as we go towards September, as we go towards December, that ratio could also be changed. But I'm not for now, but I'm saying there's a possibility that we could also change that.
So you say that the technical is to see the first and the technical is in the way, and in your family is continue to make it why you take that?
Well, we have established which is legalized the multi-currency regime until 2030. It's law. It is there. So, business people, ordinary people know that between now and 2030, they can transact in US dollars, in rand, in pula, in euro, as well as in local currencies. But we are saying we don't want a situation where come 31 December 2030, we just wake up and say tomorrow we are going to be using zinc. We want it to be a gradual process. And that gradual process also comes with us creating increased demand for zinc as we go along.
So is there a strategy in terms of 26, 28, last year, like this going on, seeing process?
There's no hard and fast ratio. What I've given you are indicators to say as we get towards 2030, let's make sure that the amount of zinc in circulation is increasing. And I'm hoping that way before 2030, by the time we meet about 2028, we should be in a situation where there's more zinc in the economy than there is in US dollar in terms of transactions.
Can you maybe clarify that?
Yes, we were very clear in the mandatory statement that we do not want a situation where someone leaves $100 or 100 zinc in a bank. They go away for a year, and when they come back, they find that they lost the bank $100. If the person goes to the bank and says, I'm putting money in a savings account, we expect the bank to pay interest. And we did prescribe minimum interest rates that the banks should pay. And so we expect them to abide by that. And we will monitor it.
So we're not going to see a base situation where you can just pay the banks is what you say.
Oh, definitely. We are the regulator of banks. And what is what we say? Consumption.
Let's move on to talk about government's acceptance of local currency using. People have been questioning why are we still being asked to pay when we're wanting as a
on a transformative path towards success, resilience, and sustainable growth. Together, we reshape Zimbabwe's future and ultimately Africa's future. Over the years, ZB has not only been a member of the CEO Africa Roundtable, but an active member contributing to the growth of the annual roundtable, the conference at which we are today. We have also witnessed reciprocal support with the majority of the CEO Africa Roundtable members establishing banking, insurance, and investments relationships with us, to which we remain grateful. Thank you for the support, and here's to many more years of great partnership between ZB and the CEO Africa Roundtable. We say ZB for you as we work to modernize, reshape, and grow Africa through ideas generated at this, the 10th CEO Africa Annual Roundtable. I thank you.
Okay, Dr. Brilliant Shumba, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. A big round of applause again. It gives me great pleasure to welcome our chairman, Mr. Osrobina, so that he can come and give us his welcome address. And the man who has taken us into all these countries through his leadership. Mr. Bina, thank you very much. The floor is yours. A round of applause for him as he clears his throat.
Sorry, Ken. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Comrade Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, esteemed ministers here present, senior government officials, members of the diplomatic corps, colleague board members, captains of industry and commerce, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, it is a great honor today. It is indeed a privilege on the part of the Roundtable to welcome you once again to our annual Indaba 2024. Being a milestone, and we are talking about, Your Excellency, the 10th edition of the Roundtable under the theme, The Future of Africa, Modernize, Reshape, and Grow. Your presence, sir, is appreciated, as it assures the participants and the citizens at large that their contributions are being taken seriously by government, especially as we strengthen our overall objective of championing economic growth and development across the region and Africa at large, as well as setting standards for shaping the African future we want. In this roundtable, sir, we are joined by representatives from government, and we are indebted to the government of Zimbabwe. It has not happened that we have 5 ministers supporting an initiative in the life of business member organizations in the country. We say thank you to the government of Zimbabwe. We also have private sector players, technical partners, captains of industry, colleagues from the media, regional representatives, investors, and indeed our key partners that are coming from beyond the continent. Your Excellency, during the first day of the roundtable yesterday, 3 sessions were held covering the areas of artificial intelligence and the African business context, promoting intra-African trade and building effective state-owned enterprises. Our discussions this year are centered on how the African business can harness artificial intelligence to expand and grow their business. And the discussions yesterday, Your Excellency, actually centered us on an opportunity we need to start exploiting, not only as a country, a region, and a continent, but as a people. A big data industry is upon us. Strategies to build effective state-owned enterprises. Indeed, Your Excellency, state-owned enterprises are our enablers in terms of how we operationalize our companies and our institutions within the business sector. Promoting intra-African trade, as well as ensuring that we've located ourselves in the space of increasing business among African countries. Health and wellness, Your Excellency, a workplace issue. I was personally very frightened, Your Excellency, within the health and wellness space, that we seem to think our employees and subordinates are the only ones that are supposed to be exposed to NASA for health and wellness issues. No, they have requested that we are actually be in the forerunner of ensuring that we participate in this particular area. Finance markets, focusing on building confidence and promoting the culture of saving in Zimbabwe and the region. Rethinking financial architecture of Africa. Strategic roundtables, Your Excellency, on 2 areas, agribusiness and the renewable energy. The rest of the roundtable sessions, sir, are aimed at advocating for an environment which will embrace the business and corporate world to thrive and championing economic development across the region, particularly looking at strengthening partnerships between government and the private sector. We see that demonstrated in this 10th edition of the Roundtable. The future of Africa anchors on the transitioning of state-owned enterprises. Your Excellency, we have got global best practices where state-owned enterprises are driving significantly the performance of economies, and we hope and trust that we will be able to pick and choose which ones to emulate. The digitalization and artificial intelligence are here to stay, and thus all stakeholders should embrace digital transformation for a better Africa. Apparently, Your Excellency, we want to see an Afrocentric view of AI as we start discussions. We are going to be consumers of external information, and that external information in some cases is damaging to our Ubuntu and the African Renaissance. The all African nations, in particular Zimbabwe, should exploit the window or gateway to the AfCFTA. Africa cannot continue to rely on external finance for its growth and development. Hence, there is need to rethink the financing architecture of Africa. Conditionalities among some of the Eurocentric financiers are actually becoming too complicated for African business, and we need to start to look at homegrown African solutions for African problems. Your Excellency, let me take this opportunity to inform you that stakeholders in this conference would like to acknowledge how you have considered our plea to the government to provide the market and the economy with a dependable, clear roadmap on the current ongoing currency reform agenda. Apparently, we recognize effort that government has done, and so far, Your Excellency, the structured currency is working. We are going to engage with government in ensuring that we sustain the trajectory that government has set, and we have a plea, Your Excellency, that government lends a listening ear as we make recommendations to ensure that we continue to progress in the stability mode as we go. As I conclude, Your Excellency, we are grateful for your leadership in promoting such kind of engagements, which conforms to your mantra, Zimbabwe is open for business. Such interactions, Your Excellency, especially at the level of the head of state in Zimbabwe demonstrate that there is promotion of consensus, there is promotion of trust, there is promotion of confidence, and indeed we are going to work flat out with all these decision makers to inform a policy formulation matrix for the country, for the region, and for Africa. With these few words, Your Excellency, allow me to invite my own minister, and let me say, Your Honorable Minister of Industry has been here with us, with Honorable Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Honorable Minister of ICTs, and they've contributed immensely to our discussions, Your Excellency. And I would like to invite my own minister, Honorable Ndlovu, to introduce our guest of honor and present an opportunity for us to receive your address. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Thank you so much, Chairman. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Emerson Dambudzo Mnangagwa, the Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Mart North Province, Honorable Richard Moyo, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Dr. Frederick Shava, Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Innovation, Science and Technology Development, Professor Dr. Amon Murira, Minister of Information, Communication Technologies, Postal and Courier Services, Honorable Dr. Tatenda Mavetera, the Deputy Chief Secretary here among us, Reverend Damasane, heads of diplomatic missions here present, members of parliament who may be present, heads of ministries and senior government officials, His Worship the Mayor of the City of Victoria Falls, Councillor Moyo, Chairman of the CEO Roundtable, Dr. Obina, and members of the CEO Africa Roundtable Board and senior management, captains of industry and commerce, from the Republic of Zimbabwe and those joining us from the region. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. Your Excellency, we gather yet again here in the beautiful city of Victoria Falls for what has now become a headline event, the annual CEO Africa Roundtable. This is the session everyone is looking forward to, an opportunity to interact with the guest of honor, the #1 CEO of the land. Let me take this opportunity to convey my sincere appreciation to the CEO Africa Roundtable for organizing this important event, which offers business leaders space for in-person and digital events, experts' insights, enhance connections and deal structuring, as well as provide room for exchange of ideas and experiences. This meeting also provides government and the private sector an opportunity to engage and deliberate on issues that seek to foster strategic synergies and accelerate development of our economies in Africa. The Second Republic, under the able leadership of our guest of honor, is putting a strong thrust on growing the economy, creating new jobs, and preserving the existing ones as part of our modernization and industrialization agenda. This is in line with what is being pursued at both the regional and continental levels. Sustainable industrial development is centered on trade, which brings people from different regions and continents and cultures together. And commerce regionally, organizers of this event, is reflective and to play a pivotal role in the growth of the African economy. This involves industrial growth and prosperity. Distinguished guests, my task is to introduce our guest of honor. Has the ultimate goal of making Zimbabwe a prosperous and empowered upper middle income society by 2030, to engage the private sector, which is the engine for economic growth, as well as a key player in our quest to promote sustainable economic development in our country. From the time of his election as President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, he has worked hard to ensure government creates a predictable and conducive environment where capital can thrive. His aspirations are deeply ingrained in his desire to ensure that our motherland achieves economic stability, guided by his belief and confidence in his own people. Hence his mantra, Nyika inovakwa nevenhu vayo, ilizwe lakhiwa ngabanikazi balo. Our guest of honor is a professional lawyer who has served in government since 1980 and has held a variety of portfolios, including the Minister of National Security, Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs, Speaker of Parliament, Minister of Rural Housing and Social Amenities, Minister of Defense, before becoming the Vice President and Second Secretary of the ruling party ZANU-PF. Without much ado, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to invite His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Commander-in-Chief of the Zimbabwe Defense Forces, Comrade Dr. Emerson Dambu.
Pray be seated. Our Director of Ceremonies, the Chairman of the CEO Africa Roundtable, Mr. Obina. In absentia, the two Vice Presidents, Retired General Chiwenga and Colonel Retired Mumhari. The Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution, Matabeleland North Province, Honorable Richard Moyo. Minister of Industry and Commerce, Honorable Ngovizita Ndlovu. Other honorable ministers and deputy ministers who are here. Heads of diplomatic missions, if any, who are here. The Chief Secretary to the President Cabinet, Dr. Shwaya, if he's here. Senior government officials, members of the CEO Africa Roundtable Board, and the senior management who are here. Captains of Industry and Commerce from the Republic of Zimbabwe and those joining us from within the region. Distinguished participants, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor and privilege to be guest of honor once again at this annual CEO Africa Roundtable, which has become a platform for setting the national, regional, and continental development discourse through public-private engagements. I want to warmly welcome all delegates from within the region and abroad who have graced this important event. Your participation, once again, attests to the confidence that the business community has in the environment for trade and investment prevailing in our motherland, Zimbabwe, the SADC region, as well as on our African continent. This year's theme, the future of Africa, modernize, reshape, and grow, and of course, is in line with the continent's developmental aspirations to innovate in order to increase production and productivity as espoused in the African Union's Agenda 2063, the Africa we all want. Ladies and gentlemen, the round table event offers members and other business leaders a platform for networking, gleaning experts' insights, expressing your views on the local business environment, as well as an opportunity to submit policy recommendations to government in order to further improve the business operating environment in our economy. I commend the CEO Africa Roundtable and its partners for facilitating several focused discussions, dialogue sessions, and innovative platforms that cater for specific segments across the key sectors of the economy as part of this particular event. Ladies and gentlemen, innovation and the use of information communication technology are critical enablers as we traverse the journey towards modernizing and reshaping the African continent's economic landscape. We are currently standing on the brink of a technological revolution that is fundamentally altering the way we live, the way we work, and relate to one another, which is characterized by a fusion of technologies that is blurring the lines between the physical, digital, and the biological spheres of our lives. This technological revolution is disrupting almost every industry in every country, with changes that herald the transformation of entire systems of production, management, and governance. As business and the policymakers, we have to take advantage of the fourth industrial revolution, as it has the potential to raise global income levels and improve the quality of life for populations around the world, us not accepted. It is therefore necessary for you to quickly adapt to the changing global marketplace through responding quickly and intelligently to changing market conditions. Through modernization initiatives such as re-imaging and upgrading outdated systems, applications, and processes, you will be able to attain higher productivity and efficiency levels, enhanced customer experience, increased agility, innovation, cost savings, as well as improved product quality, among other benefits. This should not only apply to private sector entities, but also to state-owned enterprises, which should increasingly take up their position of providing quality and affordable essential services, given their role as operators of critical national infrastructure and services in our country. I equally call upon local authorities to complement such developments by adopting technologies for resource planning, procurement, project management, and the risk management, among others, which are all necessary for the development of smart cities that cater for the needs of the new normal which we are now living in. Furthermore, Financial service providers on the continent should be innovative and strive to foster more financial inclusion and intermediation between savers and borrowers through offering affordable products. That way, encouraging savings from the general public. By ensuring that the banking public gets a positive return on their savings, more resources will be unlocked for own lending to the productive sectors. During our time when we were young, when we put money in the bank, it increased. Recently, if we put in, it decreases. I don't know what has happened. This ultimately restores confidence in the financial services sector. On its part, my government is fostering an environment that is conducive for business growth and development. As such, the ease of doing business environment in Zimbabwe has been improving through the implementation of broad measures to enhance the country's competitiveness and investment environment. I therefore call on you all to explore various investment opportunities across key sectors such as commerce, manufacturing, mining, agriculture, and tourism, among others. Furthermore, the Second Republic has prioritized infrastructure development as one of its key deliverables. This includes such investments as rehabilitation and development of roads, as well as the construction of new and refurbishment of existing power generating plants, among others. Regionally and across the continent, vast investment opportunities exist in the renewable energy sector. As we accelerate the transition to clean energy as a pathway to a healthy and livable planet. These include in solar, wind, hydropower, geothermal, and biomass energy generations, among others. Comrades and friends, in line with this year's theme of modernization, my government is committed to significantly improve trade facilitation, reduce clearance times, and enhance the efficiency of cross-border operations along transport corridors, leveraging on Zimbabwe's strategic geographic location in the southern region. This is part of efforts to grow the volume of intra-Africa trade above the current low level of below 20%. I therefore urge you all to take advantage of the African Continental Free Trade Area, a transformative force representing a vast market with a combined gross domestic product of over $3 trillion and a population surpassing 1.3 billion people. By aligning the development of the North-South corridor, border post upgrading, modernization initiatives, and the principles of the African Continental Free Trade Area, we lay a strong foundation for seamless regional integration. This integration leads to expanded trade volumes, increased investments, job creation. I call upon you all to take advantage of the opportunities which have been availed by the current crop of progressive leaders on the African continent through the African Continental Free Trade Area. This will enable the development of regional value chain economies and industrialize. The onus is upon you to take advantage of competitive and comparative advantages of value chains such as the cotton to clothing value chain, the leather value chain, the sugar value chain, the soya value chain, the pharmaceutical value chain, the lithium value chain, as well as the bus and the truck assembly value chain, among many others. Distinguished guests, as you modernize, reshape and grow your organizations, please also be mindful of the impacts of climate change and variability, which are becoming more evident with increased incidences of droughts and the floods, among other challenges which we face. To mitigate these challenges, Zimbabwe has come up with a national climate change response strategy to deal with climate change issues and put in place specific actions to manage potential impacts. Hence, despite the El Nino-induced drought, it is pleasing to note that the economy is on a positive growth trajectory, with a GDP growth projection of 4.8% in 2024. Invited guests, as I conclude, I urge you to embrace a vision of sustainable growth that prioritizes long-term value creation over short-term gains. A vision that balances profit with purpose, while also recognizing the interconnectedness of our continent. I would like to urge you all to seize the opportunity. Let us modernize our economies, reshape our societies, and foster inclusive growth that leaves no one and no place behind. Together, we can build a brighter future for Africa, a future defined by innovation, growth, and a shared prosperity of our people. It is my hope that the deliberations you are holding here will help to shape the trajectory of our economies, influence millions of livelihoods, and impact the well-being of future generations. As you finalize your program and during your free time, please feel free to visit the majestic Mosi Otunya, which was accidentally named as Victoria Falls by visitors, as well as the Wange National Park. With these remarks, it is now my singular honor to declare this 10th annual CEO Africa Roundtable officially opened. I wish you fruitful deliberations.
our character as Zimbabweans. And have a character where you want to live to please others, you will always get high marks. But if you remain yourselves, nyika inovakwa nevene vayo. Time will come when you'll be accepted because you have stood up to be yourselves. It is not a difficult thing to aspire to impress others. It's not a bad thing. However, at the national level, I, for one, I don't mind about what you yourselves think. I speak my mind. My mind is that we as Zimbabweans should remain Zimbabweans and give priority to what we think is Zimbabwean. I'm not advocating for Zimbabwe to remain an island, but as we interact with other nations, regions, internationally or regionally, we still remain who we are. In that process, you will not be able to please everybody. But let me assure you, you young people, if you take this philosophy, someday you will be respected for being whom you are. Britain, although it is a very small island, the British are very proud that they are British. Why are you not proud that you are Zimbabwean, in spite of the fact that you have a very small economy? Don't aspire to be big when you are small. Be able to accept what you are. So, my dear brother, whilst we maintain that we need to be ourselves, we must realize we must relate with others. But in that process, let us treat each other with equal dignity and acceptance. That's my reply.
Thank you, Your Excellency. And it's almost like you were at the dinner yesterday. I could see Prof. Mugera smiling, because that was his message to say, you must stand up and accept who you are. And in your address, you also talk about the Africa trade area. And I know one of my friends, Joelene Mataruka, has a lot to say about this topic. I don't know whether she's in the room. Joelene, are you here? And I know you when he touched, I could think of you. I know this is something of interest. Would you like to say something to His Excellency on this?
Thank you, Chair. Your Excellency, my question is indeed centered around the Africa Continent Free Trade Area. In line with our theme, and also a session that we held yesterday, my understanding is this calls for us as Zimbabwe, if we're going to be involved in this Africa continent trade, we have to be very competitive, and it calls for efficiency on our systems. Which brings me to a question that are we ready as a country? And what have we done? What steps have we done as Zimbabwe to make sure that we explore the opportunities that are going to be presented by the Africa Continent Free Trade Area? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joelene. I will hand over to Ethan. I don't know why my young brother, Dr. Gomera, is winking and making all sorts of funny signs, but I suspect he wants to speak next. If we can get a mic next to him. Your Excellency, a response to Joelene. By the way, Joelene is one of the leading entrepreneurs in the country, and I think she runs also hospitality things, and it's grateful to have her with us. And when she speaks, I think she comes from a point of knowledge, and Welcome, Joylene, and Your Excellency.
May you repeat your question?
Oh, she was saying, what steps have we taken as a nation to ensure that we fully explore the opportunities presented by Africa Trade Area within?
Well, we have different roles. We as government create an environment where business, you people, have to thrive. So it is you, as we interact and have dialogue between the government and the private sector, we should be able to tell you what we expect from the private sector. The private sector should be able to interact with us and dialogue with us and say what you expect from the public sector government. So if are there any issues which you have raised from the private sector which government has not responded to positively, please bring it out.
Great. Thank you very much. And I do know the Minister of Industry, we have actually traveled as a roundtable. He has led us as a delegation to Mozambique and other places so that as Zimbabweans we can be part of the continent. As Zimbabweans we can be involved in standing up for who we are, but also become the glue that puts the continent together. And the comments you make, Your Excellency, are quite in line with how we have been led. Thank you, Honorable Minister, for that leadership. A big round of applause to him. All right. Dr. Gomera, you were winking and almost kicking me under the table. What question have you got to say?
Thank you, Chair. I'm not really sure on the winking, but yes, I would like to pose a question to His Excellency. Thank you, Your Excellency, for your address. When you came into office, one of your sayings was, I'm a listening president. And indeed, we have seen that, as you said, and took us through the Vision 2030. When you came here last time, I was also privileged to ask a question on your thoughts in terms of how you have progressed, but just to perhaps at this point in time also acknowledge the fact that the quest to become an upper middle income class society by 2030 is actually crystallizing, and as we have seen massive infrastructure development projects that's shaping up across the country, and also just to make sure that we are in sync and we are actually on core as private sector. Last time you said we actually are expecting you private sector to take the lead, and indeed it is demonstrated today. You've got your 5 cabinet ministers that are here with us and other government officials, which is a demonstration that you're actually allowing private sector to work with government. And indeed, in my discussion, as one of the discussants yesterday on on the enterprises, I also emphasized the fact that it is important that private sector also are involved in this state on the enterprises so that we actually pull together. So my question, again, I want to refer you to some of the thoughts that you had last time, where I said, yes, we have moved to this far in terms of our Vision 2030. What are the lessons that we've drawn, that we can draw from the fact that the NDS 1 is coming to an end and we are now going to NDS 2, and the fact that as CEOs who are leaders of corporations, both from private and public sector, what is it that you are expecting from us as stakeholders to do more than we have just done in the previous side? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Gomera. A round of applause for him. Your Excellency?
Well, thank you very much for the question. We in government feel very, very proud of our people. We are under sanctions. Why are we under sanctions? Because we decided to have our own land unite with its own people. Other countries who have their land united with themselves imposed sanctions on us. Now, under those sanctions imposed by those who do not want us to be ourselves, we have come so far. We have milestones of development which we have achieved. since the imposition of sanctions 24 years ago. We are not where we were 24 years ago. We've moved on in spite of sanctions. What was the purpose of putting sanctions? The purpose was to make the population in this country scream against the government. Fortunately, Zimbabwe remained united, and our economy has even grown on a yearly basis more than countries that have no sanctions on them. Why? Because of the sanctions, we became more united and more focused. We've grown our agriculture, we've grown our manufacturing sector, we've grown our ICT under sanctions. Just imagine if we didn't have them. So let the sanctions continue, so we'll continue to grow and to grow and to grow. I don't regret that they put these sanctions. It has united us. Yes, we have elements who would have wanted different, but sanctions came to us because we claimed our land, which had been taken by the British. Those of you who went to school, I corresponded. Those of you who went to school, tell me where a country became independent, got its land back. It got its land back through negotiations. No, you grab it back, it's yours. So now it's being accepted that we took our land back. No more noises that Zimbabweans have grabbed their land. Do you have those noises anymore? But had we began looking for textbooks which tell you how to get your land back, you will never get a textbook which tells you that. So we got our land back. So this is who we are. And let us be proud that we are. We don't promote any enmity with anybody. We want to be friends to all and an enemy to none. That's our philosophy. But in that process, we don't lose who we are. I hope that when we are gone, you still maintain the posture that you are Zimbabweans and relate equally with the rest of the world, with the rest of nations. Stand up and be yourselves. Yes, we cannot develop in isolation, but we must relate with respect. We cannot accept to be trodden upon. And let me assure you, Zimbabwe has a growth trajectory unexpected by those who don't want us to grow. They have no choice. World Bank figures show that we are growing. So what else do you want? And then bury.
Thank you very much. And I remember during the time of El Nino, COVID, there were a lot of predictions that Africans are going to die in their multitudes, and Zimbabweans as well. And here we are. And on the right issue you mentioned of agriculture, I think we have all seen the results of tobacco output. We have all seen how even last year in terms of grain, we were able to be self-sufficient. But Sibo, you are in the house. I think you had some question on agriculture and climate. Oh, there you are. If I can invite Sibo Mtewa to ask a question to the President.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My name is Sibo Mtewa. By day, I serve at Potras, but I'm also a climate change and sustainability enthusiast. If you would allow me to ask you a question, along the lines of the El Nino, which is, the drought, which is, been induced by El Nino. And we've seen the devastating impact. Currently, right now, we are wearing jerseys in Victoria Falls. which I think we were not doing in the past. And really, for me, it's clear that climate change is here and it's real. However, when we consider our landscape, which includes vast water bodies, that I believe that if we fully and efficiently utilize around the country, we should hedge our country against the impact of climate change. We are aware, of course, that you have assured us that relief will be available for Zimbabweans. But may you kindly share with us the plans that you have in place to minimize the impact of climate change in Zimbabwe in the long term, which in my view has the potential to restore Zimbabwe back to being the bread basket of Africa. If you could kindly share with us, Your Excellency. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Sibo. Over to you, Your Excellency.
Thank you very much for that question. As a result of the impact of climate change, it tells us that there is no guarantee that seasons will be the same. The possibility of droughts is there. So we must therefore have an approach to mitigate against such droughts and they continue to have food security in our country. The first thing that I have to do as president is to ask those who went to school, like Professor Murira Sumka. I will say to Professor Murira, how much food do we eat in a year as a Zimbabweans? He gives me the figures. Alongside his colleague, agriculturals and Masuka, the two of them, they are the scientists I have. I say to them, how much food do the nation of Zimbabwe want or use per year? They say X amount, Mr. President. Okay. In a good year or average year, what is the yield per hectare production of food they give me? So how many hectares do we need in Zimbabwe to produce the food we want? If a hectare produces an average of X amount, they give me, they went to school. So we know how much land we must put under cereals. However, because we don't control the weather, how do we mitigate against droughts? It's irrigation. So you must create dams across the country. But not every area is amenable to creation of dams. So you say, where dams are amenable to be created, you make sure, well, you put this way, how many hectares of land should we have under irrigation if there is a total drought in the country? They give me the figures. So how many dams in the country do we have? They give me the figures. Those dams, how many hectares do those dams give us for irrigation? X amount. What is the shortfall we are given? So we know what we must do to achieve the number of hectares go under irrigation, under the water bodies that we have in the country, in order to have minimum security of food in the country. That's a task. It's not achievable overnight. But you can see the roadmap as to where we are going and what we must achieve to secure food in the country. Kamdara kanenge achifunga vana vachirova masomo. This is how we do it. So I can assure you that we are very conscious about that. These young people went to school. They are able to tell us the food we want, balance the food we want in the country. Then I ask the question, do we now currently have the capacity to provide that which is required to keep our population healthy. They tick here, yes, upper no, upper yes. Where they say no, what should we do? And suggestions are made. And this is how we have survived. We have to be scientific because of who we are, because other Sephias think we are very proud people and they must be made to yield to pressure. But we say no. Zimbabwe is ours. It's God-given land which we were given. So let us do everything possible. Let us plan about how to feed our country, our people, whether there's drought or there's no drought. But most importantly, you must plan where there's drought so that you go through the space when there is drought. What must you do? We have at our fingertips the average yield of each of the 5 regions in terms of cereals. So where must we focus more to have more cereal on the table? Because you plan for the West, not when there's the best weather we have in the country. And we have done that. So when you have planned, your task of your problem is half done. What is left is walking through your plans. That's what we are doing. So I can assure you that I have the best of young brains which I pick among you to implement my vision. If I see any one big brain here, I'll pick. That's a purpose. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, on that. So it comes back to the floor. The big young brains in the room will be deployed and switched on. Thank you very much. Norman Mudadi, you are here. You had a question on labor and social security that you wanted to raise with the President. Norman, are you here? Oh, great, thanks.
Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. My question is on social security and retirement packages. Over the years, we have had situations where people say that insurance companies that have shortchanged us, our pensions. So most of the CEOs here, they don't have enough in terms of pensions. So my question is, Your Excellency, does the government have a solid plan in terms of social security to deal with this issue effectively once and for all? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
I have ministers sitting there who are responsible for those things. Who wants to reply for your colleagues?
There is consultations going in the room. A round of applause for
Pansore, Excellency. I think, yeah, it is very important to note that the economic trajectory that has been taken by His Excellency in the Second Republic is to grow the economy. And when the economy has grown, it means wealth is created. I think that's the most fundamental thing, first and foremost. And to stabilize the economy, we have tried several ways, but we went back to heritage to say what is the origin of our money. Is it statutory money or is it money? I think we have come to a situation whereby we have money, which is coming from our wealth, from our heritage, from our gold, from our metals, and from backup of our foreign currency reserves. It means we are entering a period of stability and growth At the same time, with the increase in the density of science, technology, and innovation for industrialization, this direction is going to be intensified, and it's intensifying to the extent that this question will not be relevant. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. I can see. Your Excellency, thank you very much, and Professor, thank you for your response. And I think there is, however, something that I will just add on to that conversation, which doesn't necessarily need to be answered now. The one element, I think we are so excited and happy about what His Excellency has mentioned about us having taken our land back. But we are also aware of another conversation that's happening nationally, which is where there's a lot of money resources that our government is putting together to compensate white farmers who may have lost their land. And I think where Norman might be coming from, and it's worth the government thinking a little bit about, is there's a similar situation that's actually on the go, which is on pensions. I think there was a Justice Smith report that also pointed to people who have been disenfranchised on their pensions. And what are we, to the extent to which we have recognized on the white farmers, the government might need, Your Excellency, to look critically on how we are going to deal with our own who also had this unfortunate element. And I agree with you about the future, but there's also this brewing thing, and I think that's where Norman is coming from, to say, as our government, can we also look closely on those of us who have suffered in terms of the Justice Smith report on pensions, and then see what can actually be done. But thank you very much for your response on that. Our last question is patience. You had a question on the Zimbabwean economy and where we are. Patience, oh, there you are.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mafokidze. Good afternoon, Your Excellency. Your Excellency, I'm one very patriotic Zimbabwean. The last year and this year I've been gallivanting in the region, in the diaspora, overseas, encouraging Zimbabweans to come and invest back home in real estate. To the extent that in July 2013 in Birmingham, with my organization, we organized a property show where we are backed up by about 15 property developers here in Zimbabwe. We are going to meet our locals in the diaspora to talk to them about bringing back their money, about the confidence that they had lost in their own country. So obviously, I will be speaking at the conference, and one of the questions that is going to be asked is to do with this recent introduction of the ZiG currency. The reason why I ask it is I also want to be guided. I want to be confident when I address the 1,000 people that have registered to attend the conference when they do ask the question. So let me just, I made my notes down, ask my question to say, we do understand that the ZiG was introduced and its stability is subject, and stability is subject to instilled trust and confidence from the public sector, businesses, and various stakeholders. So what assurance do we have that the nation in the medium to long term will have a stable local currency? And how do we intend to resolve the long-standing currency wars that we have in the country? I think this is also coming from the background that from 1980, our currencies have been up and down. So this is a question that I am expecting to be asked, and I'm hoping Your Excellency will guide me in responding to this question to the diaspora who we want to bring back the money. Thank you.
Thank you. Over to you, Your Excellency. How do we restore currency stability?
If your mother becomes sick you don't abandon her or say she ceased to be my mother. We have gone through these challenges. And currently, we have introduced ZIG, which is ZIG, Z is Zimbabwe, G is gold, Zimbabwe gold. Meaning that with all the tribulations we have gone through, we have now decided that our currency be anchored on gold. This is a new approach to stabilizing our economy. Personally, I'm not an economist, I'm a head boy. I'm satisfied that what we have done now, anchoring our currency on gold, is a sound approach to a stable currency. In the past, our currency was being fought left, right, and center, and we were told it's inflation left, right, and center. But no. You should not forget that this country achieved independence through armed revolution, which was not supported by the West, where you got your degrees. It was supported by the East, which the West do not like. That's how we got our independence. We went for military training. Some of you are not born. I went for military training in China in 1963 and 64. That's how we began the armed struggle to liberate this country. So, it is critically important for us to know where we have come from. And with that background, it determines how we move forward. Everything will be done for you to move away from your solid foundation as a country and a float, so you can be kicked by even someone who has never been to school. So, we have ZIG, Zimbabwe gold, which is the basis of our currency. For now, I think it is a solid foundation. As we go forward, I depend on you who went to normal school, because I read at night. To you who went to normal school, to continue to guide us. But even as you guide us, we are also able to know where they are removing us from what we think is solid for our country. This is why we have ZIG, Zimbabwe gold. Meaning, we must have our currency anchored on our gold. Before we introduced ZIG, for 2.5 years, 2.5, which I'm telling you now, for 2.5 years, I discussed with the governor of the Reserve Bank that 10% of every monthly gold, 10% of the gold we produce every month was put aside for 2.5 years before we introduced ZIG. So when we were now satisfied that we had enough gold reserves in the vaults, I think some of you, if you have good memories, I went and opened the vaults at the Reserve Bank. Don't try to go in there steal. It's not easy. I went there and opened the vaults for the country to see the gold we've stacked for 2.5 years. It's now 3 years. For 2.5 years, quietly, in order to have a solid currency, so that our currency cannot be attacked easily. This is what we've achieved now. So we must be proud of ourselves and move forward.
Thank you very much. And I think Zimbabwe is not quite strange to, because I remember when we introduced the AIDS levy, it was also quite revolutionary, and it became a model for financing and dealing with AIDS ages ago. So thank you for that. The last question that we will have is on just leadership, because you did mention 1963, and indeed, a lot of us, myself included, were not on the planet then. But I did read somewhere that rule your mind or it will rule you. And someone also said that the first and best victory is to conquer self. But there's a Chinese saying that also saying mastering others is strength, but mastering oneself is true power. And I look at your journey as was explained. And I think for some of us, which is most of the room, which was the 1963 pre and all that, what can you teach us? What are the leadership lessons we can take today that have brought you to where you are? How do you lead yourself? What are some of the traits that you say, as you lead your corporations, these, from your experience, are things that they can take away and implement just in self-leadership and being able to be disciplined and be able to take their institutions forward?
First and foremost, the majority of you here, perhaps me included, because we have Western degrees, I have law degrees from, I don't want to mention London. But a good one from Zambia. You have heard about Monomtapa Kingdom. Monomtapa Kingdom. Had the Monomtapa gone overseas? Had he ever gone overseas? We don't think so. But he was able to create a Monomtapa Kingdom that traversed a lot of area in this region, because they were a solid Monomtapa people. And we are the descendants of Monomtapa. Why should you look down on yourselves today? That island, which former President Mugabe called the keep your cold England. To Tony Blair. Tony Blair, keep your cold England, I'll keep my warm Zimbabwe. They dominated the world in spite of the fact that it was a small island. Why? Because they were compact. They ravaged countries which were not compact. So we must remain compact as a Zimbabwe, and no one will destroy us. Economically or socially, we will remain ourselves, the grandchildren of Monomtapa. Under the modern world, we cannot stand alone. We have to relate, but we must not lose our identity as Zimbabweans. Let us collaborate, let us relate, get what is good from elsewhere for the benefit of growing our own economy, our own livelihoods, yes, but never forget that we are who we are ourselves as a people. Most of you here, you have degrees. But when you get a degree, say in economics, or in physics, or in agriculture, domesticate that degree to the needs of Zimbabwe. Don't domesticate Zimbabwe to the degree where you got it. And you try to transplant Zimbabwe to where you got your degree. Bring your degree and domesticate it for the benefit of our motherland. Once we do that, then
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. A big round of applause. Ladies and gentlemen, if we can just give a standing ovation to our guest of honor for an amazing nuggets of wisdom. Thank you very much. Thank you for your wisdom. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We can be seated. Allow me then to ask the Chief Executive of the Round Table, Mr. Kipson Gundani, to come and give us a vote of thanks. Mr. Gundani.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, Dr. Idi Mnangagwa, Minister of State for Provincial Affairs and Devolution for Mat North, Honorable Richard Moyo, our host minister, our parent minister, Minister of Industry and Commerce, Dr. Mangaliso Ndlovu, Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Trade, Honorable Frederick Shawa. We missed you yesterday, sir. Thank you for coming. Minister of Higher and Tertiary Education, Science and Technology, Honorable Professor Emon Murwira. Minister of Information Communication Technology, Postal and Courier Service, Honorable Dr. Tatenda Mavetera. PS in the Ministry of Industry and Commerce, in absentia, Dr. Tiu She, represented by the Chief Director here, Dr. Douglas Runyoa. PEMSEC in the Ministry of Economic Management and Finance from the Republic of Zambia, Mr. Dennis K. Chisenda. Other permanent secretaries here present, senior government officials, the board chair of South Africa Roundtable and esteemed board members of the Roundtable, key partners, captains of industry and commerce here present, presenters and panelists, members of the press, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed. Your Excellency, 6 years ago, when you assumed the office that you occupy today, you might not remember this, but you were here with us for the 5th edition of the CO Africa Annual Roundtable, and you did challenge us to awaken and take responsibility to build our country and our continent under the mantra, Zimbabwe is open for business then. Today, 6 years later, we are happy that we are fulfilling this mission together, and we are continuing to do so, and we are so happy that you still find time from your busy schedule to be with us. We thank you, sir. I believe our interactions with you over the years has brought out the best in both of us. Therefore, we want to thank you, Your Excellency, for your leadership and availability amid other pressing commitments to be with us today and interface with these esteemed men and women that are running enterprises across the country. Your Excellency, at the top table that you are sitting, I'm happy to let you know that we have got our 3 chairpersons from our chapters in Malawi, Zambia,